Hi, this is the second chapter video because week 3 has chapter 4 and chapter 5. So this is a video on chapter 5. I've already went over the exercises or the one exercise at the end of chapter 5 and the assignment 3.2. So this is just for the lecture part. If you have any questions, you may to make note of it and you can email me and ask me what you have. All right, so here we go. Objectives for chapter 5. Apply phase 2 of the 3x3 writing process, which begins with formal and informal research to collect background information. Explain how to generate ideas and organize information to show relationships. Compose a first draft of a message using a variety of sentence types and avoiding sentence fragments, run-ons, and comma splices. Improve your writing techniques by emphasizing important ideas, employing active and passive voice effectively, using parallelism, and preventing dangling and misplaced modifiers. And then draft effective paragraphs using 3 classic paragraph plans and techniques for achieving paragraph coherence. Okay, so all right, this first opening is about gap and remembering gap is cool, so constantly changing designers and management. So this would probably be an interesting information to read, and it's about writing, of course. So the critical thinking that's over here on the right regarding gap is in what ways would research gathering information be important to Gap, Old Navy, and Banana Republic in coaxing their customers back? What must Gap managers and all business communicators do before making management decisions? What techniques can business communicators at Gap and other companies use to generate ideas for new products as well as to improve business processes? So if you want to read this information about Gap and then think about these 3 points, it would probably be a really good thing to do. Now, getting started requires researching background information, and this is a little different type of research than what you do for like research papers. So the learning objective for this one is apply phase 2 of the 3x3 writing process, which begins with formal and informal research to collect background information. So it's still basing this first part on the managers of Gap. Gap executives strive to solve problems and make decisions by gathering information, generating ideas, organizing those ideas, into logical messages that guide their organizations. And then it talks about in figure 5.1, which we will look at, involves 3 phases. This chapter focuses on the second phase of that process, researching, organizing, and drafting. So discovering significant information after a message is half completed often means having to start over and reorganize. Okay. To avoid frustration and inaccurate messages, writers collect information that answers several questions. 1, what does the receiver need to know about this topic? 2, what is the receiver to do? So once they get this information, what are they going to do with it? In just a second, we'll go over this. How is the receiver to do it? When must the receiver do it? What will happen if the receiver doesn't do it? Whenever your communication problem requires more information than you have in your head or at your fingertips, you must conduct research. This research may be informal or formal, so there's 2 different types. 3x3 writing process, remember we had something similar in chapter 4, but this is regarding research. Decide on the message purpose. Okay, why are you doing it? What do you want the receiver to do or believe once they get it? What does the audience already know? How will it receive this message, it being the audience? Think about techniques to present this message most effectively and consider how to elicit feedback. Drafting. Once you've done the pre-writing, you go to step 2 of the drafting. Gather background data by searching files on the internet. Organize direct messages with a big idea first. For persuasive, not direct, for persuasive or negative messages, use an indirect problem-solving strategy. Prepare the first draft using active voice sentences, coherent paragraphs, and appropriate transitional expressions. Then when you've drafted it, you're going to go to revising, edit, eliminate wordy fillers, long lead-ins, redundancies, and trite business phrases. Strive for parallelism, clarity, conciseness, and readability. Proofread, check carefully for errors in spelling, grammar, punctuation, and format. Then evaluate. Will this message achieve your purpose? Is the tone pleasant, and did you encourage feedback? So let's look at some informal research methods. Okay. Um, Routine tasks such as drafting emails, memos, letters, information reports, all that stuff is information you can collect informally. So there are 4 bullets here. Search your company's files. You can talk with the boss. You can also talk to colleagues right here, company wiki, or consult colleagues. Interview the target audience. Consider talking with individuals at whom the message is aimed. And then conduct an informal survey, telephone surveys, online, that type of thing. Now, formal research papers, long reports and complex business problems generally require formal research methods. Let's say you're part of the management team at Gap and you've been asked to help launch a new store in Canada. Or let's assume you have to write a term paper for a college class. Both are in need of me turning the page. Tasks require more data than you have in your head. Formal research will cover access of electronic sources, books, journals, magazines, newspapers. You're going to have to search manually through public and college libraries. Investigate primary sources. Primary sources is first-hand primary information for a project. Go directly to the source. Conduct scientific experiments. Another source of primary data is experimentation. For example, the management team at Gap wants to know at what price and under what circumstances consumers would purchase jeans from Gap instead of Abercrombie and Fitch. And here's just an example of Kitchen in a Box and how they got their stuff going.